website. We have changed the format a little bit, so it won't be via YouTube, it will be via direct link because we have a new piece of kit. If anybody doesn't want to be audio recorded, then please let me know. I'm afraid, councillors, you don't have a choice. But obviously, if members of the public don't want to be recorded, then please let me know. I would have to ask you to leave if that was the case.
Thank you, everybody. It is 7 o'clock, so welcome to tonight's meeting of Oswestry Town Council on Wednesday, the 15th of May 2024. First item on the agenda is public participation sessions. So without further ado, do any members of the public here present wish to speak? Okay.
Need that. They'll hear me.
Yeah, well, as long as I can hear you from there.
Yeah, it's for the recording. Thank you. Mr. Harris, what would you like to say?
Who is the town clerk?
That's me.
Who?
Me.
You?
Sorry.
Right. You're the gentleman that won't speak to me. That's why I've come down tonight. So that everybody knows what's going on. Because about 2 years ago, I phoned you about the Regal. I said, if you want to know anything, speak to me. I got completely ignored. The reason I've come down tonight is because Duncan has raised this in the paper again. Now, a number of years have passed, apparently, as to the council trying to take this building over. What is taking the time? It's easy enough, it's up for sale. All you got to do is buy it. But the big problem you've got is finding somebody to go in it. Now, I don't know whether you know, I'm still in the cinema business. I've been in it for over 60 years. I know what I'm talking about. Odeons are shutting cinemas. Empire Cinemas have gone bust. Right? These are two major circuits. Cineworld and View are in serious trouble. Shropshire Council is talking about building one again, having two already in Shrewsbury. Why the hell they would want to do that, I do not know. But if it's their money, as long as it ain't ratepayers' money. Now, I'm going to wait for Duncan to put his proposal forward. If it's passed, I will then give him some papers of two companies I've already contacted, spoken to, who will fight to come here. But I can't do nothing until the motion is passed. Then I will give the papers to Duncan to read. Then you can start negotiating for who you want. That's the top and bottom of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harris. I'm sure your valuable input will be useful going forward if that motion is indeed adopted. But thank you for coming and speaking tonight. Are there any other public comments? Thank you. Okay. Item 2 on the agenda is apologies for absence.
We have apologies for absence from Councillor John Price and Councillor Paul Milner.
Thank you. Move we note. All in favour? Thank you very much. Disclosure of councillors' interests in any matters in relation to the Code of Conduct. Look round from my left. Anyone who wishes to speak? Declare now. None to record. Thank you. Item 3. This is a lovely item as one of the first as Mayor to introduce. Staff here have been working very hard over recent months to achieve the Foundation Award as part of the local council award scheme, and we're privileged to have Katrina Baker, the President of SALC, here to present us with the award this evening. So I shall hand over to Aaron to do the more professional introductions.
I don't think I can, Mr. Mayor, but I think Katrina would like to say a few words.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me over here, and particular thanks to the gentleman who helped me to find the building, because I got a little lost in your town with the road closure. So I'm here as President of the Shropshire Association of Local Councils, representing your national association. And they have the Local Council Award Scheme, which has 3 tiers, and without any shadow of a doubt, you met every criteria of the foundation. And that is with thanks to all of your staff, but also with thanks to you. And that's mainly because when we looked at the application and we went into some detail of looking on your website and some of the information that had been sent to us, it was very clear that you value public participation. You work with your communities, you listen to your communities, you ask your communities what it is that they want, and therefore you are properly serving your communities. So that is really important, public participation and consultation. Your website is very thorough and it's very clear, and because of that I have absolutely no hesitation in awarding the foundation status, which I will pass to your mayor. Congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed.
And that is on for everybody, the staff and the councillors.
Yeah. So we will. Thank you. Yes. We will find a prominent position, pride of place for that award, because it really does mean a lot for, especially the colleagues who are employed by the council, that those efforts have been recognised, and for every member sitting around this table who support that as well. Some of the things that you've said, you know, the council has been working towards for several years, trying to improve, and so this recognition is very gratefully received. Thank you very much.
I have one more message, in that you are very, very close to quality standard. And we really, really would like to see an application for quality standard, sorry. Just as soon as you feel ready to do it.
We know that. And we're really pleased to receive this. And a lot of hard work goes into this and recognition of the standards that this council has achieved. I'd just like to add a note of thanks to Sandra, whose work goes very much unnoticed, and she's the one who pulled together all the information for this application and put a rocket at me from time to time as well to get things done that we needed to. But I'm proud on behalf of the staff team as well, all the staff team, to receive this. So thank you.
Yeah, we're. I think I speak for everyone to say that we are very proud of you too. Thank you, Sandra. So could I just ask for another round of applause just for Sandra? Thank you, members. Okay, Katrina is going to do us another favour while she's here, getting our money's worth out of you this evening. We need to agree the seniority list for the election of mayors and deputy mayors going forward, as per Standing Order 26. So, the members who are not yet positioned, who are Councillor Cassin, Councillor Chadwick, Councillor Coburn, Councillor Davis, Councillor Froggatt, Councillor Wadey, Councillor Stackhouse and Councillor Upton. Your names have been placed into a suitable receptacle as the rules dictate, and Katrina is going to draw your names and you will be added in that order to the seniority list.
44.
That's Councillor Davis.
42.
Councillor Chadwick. 47 is Councillor Stackhouse. 41 is Councillor Cassin. 43, Councillor Coburn. 45, Councillor Froggatt. 48, Councillor Upton.
And hopefully this will work out. Yeah.
46, Councillor Wadey. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much, Katrina. That's brilliant. Job done very efficiently.
Would you mind if I try and find my way out of Russell Street?
No, we locked the doors. You're in for the duration now. No, of course. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Cheerio. Okay, so that is moving on to item 5, the minutes. To seek approval of the attached minutes from a meeting of the Council on the 13th of March 2024. Copy attached. Councillor Upton.
Move we adopt.
Move we adopt. Any, Councillor Rose? Seconding? All in favour? Any against? Abstentions? No, thank you. Item number 6 is to answer any questions in accordance with the standing orders upon which formal notice has been given.
None, Mr Mayor.
No questions received. Item 7, Shropshire Council updates. Updates from our local Shropshire councillors. I'll admit now, I have not prepared an update. But if our other Shropshire councillors would like to speak, well, Councillor Kerr.
I suggest we bypass this, given the length of the agenda and the other items.
Yeah, most of the consultations and things are actually agenda items anyway, so thank you. Item 8, notices of motion. We have motion A in the name of Councillor James Owen.
I wish to move it, please.
Thank you. Okay, so we have, would you like to speak on it now, or? Of course, thank you. Would there be a seconder? Councillor Upton. Thank you. Councillor Owen, I'll hand back to you.
Perfect, thank you, and thank you for seconding the motion. It's a matter of all members here will have had members of the public approach them to raise issues with the conditions and traffic issues that are in the town, including potholes, parking issues, speeding, numerous other vehicle-related problems that they feel aren't being listened to or addressed. Obviously, as the Town Council, we have no authority over highways, as this rests with Shropshire Council. However, it is within our power to ensure that a meeting can take place and allow residents to bring up their issues directly with officers of Shropshire Council or the portfolio holder if need be, as a standalone community meeting rather than one of many agenda items on a full council meeting such as tonight. This meeting would also allow Shropshire Highways to demonstrate any plans they currently have in place to rectify particular issues that in the town, such as the much needed resurfacing of Western Avenue that has recently occurred. It's a matter of all the residents that I've spoken to recently are very happy with what's happened there, and if there's other issues like that around the town that they already have plans to repair, getting that information out there is something that this meeting could allow to happen. More communication cannot be a bad thing, and while the exact format of the meeting should be decided by the expertise of the Town Council officers, I would strongly recommend an element of it focuses on informing residents about Fix My Street that many residents still aren't aware of or don't know how to use, in a sense that they actually get the information needed across in an efficient way. And it's a very useful tool. I think everyone should be using it themselves. So I hope everybody agrees that with me on this about a community meeting to facilitate better communication is something we should be wholeheartedly supporting, and therefore urge you all to support my motion.
Thank you very much. I'll open it to the floor then. I have Councillor Kerr who's indicated he wishes to speak.
I mean, clearly, Councillor Owen is absolutely right. There is public concern, and probably always will be as long as we have roads. There'll be people concerned about roads. I think the Romans were concerned about roads as well. In terms of actually setting the context for our community meetings, we've tended to do this with the clerk advising us, and I'm slightly uneasy that we just drift into setting one for a particular session in September without considering the other issues, which also the public are concerned about. But I'll let that by for the time being. The motion talks really about three things: potholes, parking and speeding. And I do think we owe it to people as elected representatives to give them the whole truth about what the situation is. And certainly 3 years ago, the situation on potholes by Shropshire Council's own admission was abysmal. At that time, less than 4% were being dealt with in 5 days. At that time, 21, 22, all this information is on the Shropshire Council's website. They dealt with around 24, 23,000 potholes a year. That was about the number they could fix. Do you know how many they dealt with last year? Any idea how many, what the difference has been? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? Do you know? No, they dealt with 41,000 last year. 41,000. They dealt with 50% of them in 5 days. So it's gone from 4% to 50%. They win a national award for their performance in dealing with highways issues. At the same time, miraculously, the cost per pothole has come down by 70%. How have they achieved this? Well, they've done one thing that we from the Green Party on Shropshire Council have been urging them to do for some long time, which is to bring the service back in-house. Instead of paying large sums of money out to Kia, most of the potholes are now dealt with, but they call it a mixed economy model. Some goes out to the private sector, but a large amount is done by themselves. And that's had a dramatic impact. And I do think sometimes you have to say to people who's, they just remember things from a few years ago. They don't know the latest data. They don't know what the current situation is. There has been a very dramatic change in the council's performance on potholes. It's never going to be perfect. I reported some today on Upper Brook Street. We're always going to have to report them, and we're always going to have to monitor them. But the idea that against other councils in the country, Shropshire Council at the moment is doing badly on potholes, the data just doesn't bear that out. That isn't what the data is showing. It also is a result of having invested some £65 million in the service. Just think about that, £65 million. That was what was put in by the Conservative administration. I'm not here to praise the Conservative administration, but that's the amount of money that's been put in to achieve that improvement of service. And it has worked, but there ain't £65 million to put in now. In fact, quite the opposite of that. There's £65 million to be taken out of council services in order just to balance the books. On parking, I did report this, and it may have got overlooked, I do understand, at the previous council meetings, that the Shropshire Council has been very clear it cannot ad hocly introduce resident parking areas, change parking schemes for on-street parking. It has to do it systematically through a thorough review. We were always second for that review after Bridgenorth. Should have happened last year here, but Bridgenorth scheme has run into difficulties. One of those difficulties is the public concern about the level of charges for residents' parking areas. The situation, and I have reported this, is that the Bridgenorth scheme has been postponed. A decision will be made by October on whether to do any work in Oswald Street at all. So there's no question, there's no point asking Shropshire Council representatives to come and talk about parking. They cannot do anything until they do this review. They cannot make a decision on whether they're to do a review till October. They can be criticised for that, that's absolutely fine, but that doesn't change the dynamics. And unfortunately, the more they have to cut staff, as they are cutting staff right across the council, I know numbers are leaving on voluntary redundancy. Highways are not immune from that, even though they're a statutory service. They may be losing staff as a result of that, the longer that process will take. But that's where we are. We have to wait for October on car parking. On speeding, we did discuss this at the last community meeting we had, where we dealt with all, crime issues, speeding, and I saw in the next paper in the next week there was somebody stopped for speeding in the town centre and a load of drugs were found to boot as well. So, I think we've got a very effective police partnership panel, which our colleague Councillor Moore chairs, which has been proven to be extremely good at directing the police resources and helping identify problems. So I think we've already got a mechanism for that. But there are more fundamental reasons as to why we're getting an increase in potholes and damage to our roads. And it's about the lack of public transport. And your MP, Helen, was on the news this week.
Councillor, can I just bring in Councillor Upton? Your speech is...
I'm just about to move an amendment, actually, so I shall move my amendment.
Okay, all right then. If we can just...
So the more fundamental problem is the lack and the decline in bus services. The more fundamental problem is we've had no cycle infrastructure built in this town for the last 7 years, but there is provision to do so in the future. So my amendment is that in accordance with the Council's stated priorities, sustainable transport is the theme for the next annual meeting, and along with roads and parking, we consider the promotion of active transport, especially for schools and public transport. I say schools because Shropshire Council has just written to all the schools in the town, offering them £1,000 to encourage more kids to cycle to school. If your head teacher has received that, you're thinking, what can I do for £1,000? And we may need to give them some help as to what they can do for £1,000 to work together. So schools and public transport in Shropshire. Here. And we invite the bus user group with Shropshire Council and other agencies. And given the interest in bus travel that Helen Morgan has shown, we invite the local MP as well to that meeting. and we can have a proper discussion on all the issues around transport, which includes roads and potholes, but it also includes buses, also includes active transport, and also includes the disabled who need a particular provision. And I move that as an amendment. You might want a seconder.
Thank you, Councillor. Is that amendment seconded? Councillor Maguire, thank you very much. Okay, so the amendment becomes the matter under... Thank you. Councillor Owen, an amendment has been tabled for your motion. Do you accept?
I would like to go to vote. I don't accept it as part of my motion.
You don't accept the amendment. Okay, then we will move on to debate the amendment. Does anyone wish to speak further to what has been said? Councillor Rose.
I was hoping the amendment would be accepted because everything in that motion remains James's motion, but it's just broadening it a little bit to include the other transport issues whilst we're having a meeting of this sort. And we have previously invited, well, in fact about a year ago, so we had the leader, portfolio holder and the lead officer, we had them to come to talk to us about potholes and that kind of thing. And I just think it's a more fundamental problem that the more cars we've got on the road, the more potholes we're getting, so we need to sort of look at the whole picture. So I'm happy. I think James's motion, that idea is good, but I think it needs to be broader, so that's why I just put this.
Thank you. Councillor Upton.
The reason I seconded the original motion was because this is specifically focusing on the potholes and other road issues that we have, and it was the key to getting representatives from Shropshire Highways here. Okay, we can say the usual cliche, it's a Shropshire Council matter, and yes, I appreciate Councillor Kerr has given some figures about potholes being filled, but the people of Oswestry don't always see that, and that's why if we bring them together, get them to speak, then we've addressed all the issues. Okay, some people might think that bringing everyone else in to talk about active travel is a good idea, but we run the risk of sort of drifting off in another direction, whereas we need to focus on this in specific.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that with the, I think it's a good point that Councillor Kerr raises. The issue that I don't want to speak on your behalf, James, but the issue might, I think that as far as public perception, obviously a meeting about this specifically geared towards roads, potholes, and these things, these are all topics that are really highly spoken about. And I think that if the idea of having it as a transport type meeting, that might sort of take some of the focus off of the issues that I think are more popular, discussed, especially online and in our wards. I don't really hear so much about travel, but I hear an awful lot about potholes and road condition and things like that. So I think if although I think it's valid to have those things included in it, I don't think that we'd want to promote the meeting as an alternative transport meeting, because I think that then starts to make it seem a little bit more like, well, we're looking to get people cycling and doing buses and things like that, whereas the real issue is the condition of the roads. And if we can market it as such, then I don't see any reason why those points that Councillor Kerr raised couldn't be added in. But I do think you've reduced the numbers of the meeting massively by promoting it as an alternative transport meeting rather than a look at the state of our roads meeting.
Thank you very much. Councillor Owen.
I appreciate what Councillors Moore and Upton have just said. It's a matter of, I feel like if you bring in transport, like sustainable transport, that's obviously going into a different portfolio holder's department completely. You'll start bringing in issues that aren't just focused under one department of Shropshire Council. You're trying to drag in everything related to a road. Let's just bring planning in as well, because you can't do anything without planning. It's a matter of the issue to a lot of people. A lot of potholes are issues. They are being filled at the moment during the summer months. They then get drastically worse again over the winter months. The thing with parking, again, I understand that Shropshire Council can't just decide we're going to change this here, but again, residents don't really mind what the processes are at Shropshire Council. They just want to understand that they've been listened to. and that what they've said has been brought up. They don't mind, as long as it's being brought up, a lot of people will go, okay, Shropshire Council knows about it now. Shropshire Council can come and say, we can't do it right now because this is because Bridge North comes first, but then we will look at this and we already have your ideas there. And therefore, I feel like it's a matter of, it's not, we can, in a council chamber, we can keep on saying why we can't do something until the members of the public are here going, I've got a particular issue in this area, nobody's done anything about it for 5 years. As an example, I'm not going to come up with examples. It's a matter of they're everywhere in Oswestry, and therefore focusing on the specific issue of road problems, which would come under one portfolio holder specifically, is a much more niche issue, and therefore I'm happy to have another meeting at another point about sustainable transport. That's something that is very close to my heart as well, but it's a matter of, for the purposes of the motion, we shouldn't branch out of what's already there.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kerr, could you respond and sum up so that we can vote on the amendment?
I want to make one correction. The portfolio holder for Shropshire Council is the portfolio holder for transport and highways. Shropshire Council and the government realised that you can't manage roads without managing transport. Roads are there to transport people, not an end in themselves. They're there as a means of transport. You can use them on a bike, you can use them on foot, you can use them on bus, and we have to treat all users equally. There are some pothole issues which affect cyclists as well, but there are two issues that join together. So it's not us who are spreading the issue beyond the portfolio. You are, within a portfolio, carving out a particular part of that portfolio without looking at all the other ramifications. So that's why I'm suggesting that we go to the vote now and that we vote on the amendment.
Can you just repeat the wording of your amendment? Yeah, a short edit.
In accordance with the Council's stated priorities, and I do think we might need to review our stated priorities, but the priorities are sustainable transport, sustainable transport is the theme for the next annual meeting, and along with roads and parking, we consider promotion of active transport, especially for schools, and public transport, and invite Sustainable Transport Shropshire and the bus user group, along with Shropshire Council Highways officers and other agencies to the meeting. And given her interest in bus travel, we invite Helen Morgan as our local MP as well.
Thank you. So, Councillor Owen, you're still...
Yeah, I was just querying as far as the portfolio holder. As far as I'm aware, it was climate change, public transport, and I can't remember the third option. I'm sure public transport is included within that portfolio holder.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I want to move to the vote now. So, on Councillor Kerr's amendment, could all in favour show?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 4.
8.
8 4. 8 4.
And all against? 6. Any abstentions? 1 abstention. Okay, the amendment is carried, so it becomes the substantive motion. Does it need reproposing and seconding?
No, I think
No.
just if it needs any more points to be made.
Does anyone wish to speak again? Councillor Chadwick.
I was just looking at some of the other information in the agenda, and this is why I abstained, simply because I agree in the principle of having the meeting, but as far as I could see, isn't this being adopted in the annual town meeting with a theme of Safer Oswestry in coordination with the police partnership, or have I messed up? Is that the meeting you just had? Okay, that's fine. Hence why I abstained.
Okay. Right, so in the absence of any further comments or questions that... Oh, Councillor Rose.
Just antisocial behaviour, that should be, the police would need to be involved in that, presumably, rather than just highways as well, if that was going to be included.
Is that a proposal?
I think they'd be invited anyway.
Thank you. In that case, we'll go to the vote. So all in favour of the motion, please show.
Sorry? No, so you
It's the
voted, so
amendment.
the procedure, because there was an amendment, I know, it becomes a substantive motion, so.
Could
Yeah,
councillors
yeah.
just raise their hands if they're in favour again, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 11. Any against? 1, 2. Any abstentions? 1. Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you, councillors. And motion B is in the name of Councillor Kerr.
Yeah, I'm sure you all read it and know what it contains. Probably just a few bits of context to set the debate in that when we sold the... Oh, I'm being filmed. How lovely. When we sold the Smithfield site, the council received the benefit of some... Sorry.
I'm sorry, councillor, can I just interrupt? Councillor Wadey.
So, yeah, so members of the public have the right to film council meetings, as long as they don't do it, that disrupts the meeting. And I think, Paul, you're a little bit close. Is there any chance you can go a little bit further back? I've got a Zoom on it, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it is the first time that I know of that a member of the public has decided to visually record the meetings, so I don't think we can, no, unless the member of the public wished to tell us, but public session's finished, so it would be outside the normal rules to allow a member of the public to speak now. But in future, I will try and find out if people are going to record visually and announce it at the beginning of the meeting if councillors would prefer. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Resume.
Yeah, where was I? Yes, I was saying that we received the benefit of £4 million, people will know, from the Smithfield receipt. Currently, £2 million of that is still unallocated. Over that intervening, must be 10 years now, a significant chunk of it has been lost because of our investment. Obviously, we're risk adverse in our investments, and significantly inflation rates has been very significant over the last few years. So it continues to be whittled away. The promise made at the time, and it was a very clear promise, was that the council would reinvest this in the town centre to compensate the town centre for the obviously loss of sales that would result from the building of a supermarket on the outskirts of the town. Of course, at the time, the supermarket came with the promise of a cinema. And indeed of a couple of other things as well, like a bus service into town, but the cinema never transpired. So we are now in a situation where for many years Ruth and Ian, and I'm sure everybody is very appreciative of their work, has been able to keep an arts cinema running in Shropshire's second town, but have now really, I think, just reached the end of their abilities to carry on in that way. You know, they've worked very hard. I think they've probably worked themselves into the ground. They've provided a great resource, but it's probably not the same, and they would not declare it to be the same as a family cinema, and it has now closed. Looking round, Shropshire Council are actually proposing to build at public expense a cinema. Well, I think it would be the fourth. I can't really work out whether it's the fourth or the fifth cinema in Shrewsbury, or a place where you can watch film in Shrewsbury. It's already got quite a few venues. So there clearly is no doubt that cinemas are being used up and down the country as part of an economic regeneration of a town centre. If you look at the catchment area of Oswestry, it's quite a significant population in terms of its hinterland and the people who it draw from. If you look around about the place, if you want to look at what's happening over in Wellington, you'll see the Wellington Cinema, which has operated about 4 or 5 years now, has received a £10 million investment, courtesy of Luff, to extend and expand its operation to become more of a hub and a community centre. So it just shows you that cinema is not just a place to watch film, it can go on to be a cultural centre and a place for people to meet. And we are fabulously lucky in Oswestry in still having, several houses in the room, so I know about this, the cinema building right in the centre of a town. Many towns have lost that asset and it's been stripped out. We still have a cinema building. Better than that, we've surveyed that building and we know that that building is in reasonable structural condition. So it's not, it's not a building we're taking a risk on. We also know that we've had an operator who is interested. Trevor Harris says he knows of another 2 operators who are interested, and Clark says he knows of another operator as well who is interested. So whereas the large cinema operators are facing financial problems, Operators who can offer a multi-screen cinema, which probably only seats 30 or 40 people, but can offer a much more comfortable environment and to watch films, seem to be doing well. So the concept is, I think now's the time when the town, we as a council, have to sit here and watch that building continue to be underused and empty. Wonder what else to do with the £2 million which will rejuvenate the town centre, because we failed to find anything of significance so far, or actually bite the bullet. We've got a tenant in there at the moment, so the fears in the past were all about, at the moment we buy the building, we'd be liable for the rates, well, there's a charity in, so that fear disappears. And then we can position ourselves to negotiate. Now, this motion doesn't tell us to buy the building. I'm being very clear about this. All this motion does is to delegate the town clerk to start negotiations. He will have to bring the product of those negotiations back to here for a decision. So if you're against this, you're against any discussion of a cinema in the town. You're not against a cinema in the town at this stage. You just don't even want to talk about it. So I'd urge you all to back this, and then when it comes back, by all means, take your own view on it. And you may decide it's not in the council's interest, public's interest. You can decide then. But to not do that work when we have this great opportunity. There are town councils right across the country who would die to have £2 million available to invest, which could potentially bring a cinema into the heart of their town. And so I'd urge you to vote for this motion and allow us to negotiate.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Rose, thank you. Anyone wish to speak? Oh, sorry, I have Councillor Owen already on my list.
Thank you. I don't think anybody here would disagree that bringing a cinema to Oswestry shouldn't be a goal for the council, given the numerous benefits it will have for the town. I do doubt that we should focus on only one option, putting a lot of resources into coming up with some sort of terms that could purchase it, when we could look at other options at the same time to achieve the goal of getting a cinema to Oswestry. It's a matter of, yes, the Regal building is one option. There are probably numerous options that people haven't even considered or approached the council at this point that wouldn't necessarily be as financially, not destructive on the council, but a matter of costed. We shouldn't just say, oh wait, we've got 2 million in the bank, let's spend it all. You never know when you might need that for a capital project in the next 10, 15 years. You shouldn't spend it all, run it down to zero, then go, oh, the library's being passed to us by Shropshire Council, we have to buy that building from them to help them. Anything could happen, though. We need that money. We shouldn't just spend it on one option to bring a goal of the cinema to Oswestry. We should look at other options. It's a matter of, I'm sure other councillors can think of options, and I'd be happy to hear them as part of this discussion. It's a matter of, I think we should bring those forward. On that, I basically would consider amending the motion to instead instruct the clerk to liaise with partners and report back to the council with the options to re-establish a cinema in Oswestry. So it's a matter of, we'd still be going, we want a cinema, we want the options on how to bring a cinema here, but we're not locking ourselves into one building with one negotiation. And even if we've got multiple partners coming in, that can be part of that discussion. It doesn't have to be tied in to negotiations and the amount of effort that will have to go in on top of the other projects that are currently going on other aspects that the council's already agreed in the past 5 years.
Thank you. Okay, so we have an amendment that's been moved. Does Oh, sorry, yes, Councillor Kerr. Yeah, come in.
I mean, if it's been moved that the motion becomes that we instruct the clerk to negotiate, in addition to that, to report back to the council on any other options that are available for bringing the cinema into the town, I'm happy to accept that. It doesn't reduce the work on the town clerk, it actually increases the work on the town clerk, I have to say. But yeah, if there's another option, I can't think of one. I can't think of any land in the town centre, but you know, who knows? If you can think, we could build it on Central Car Park or something, perhaps. I have no idea. So yes, if that's the motion, that the clerk is instructed to negotiate, but is also instructed to consider whether there are any other options for bringing a cinema, a multi-screen cinema into the town, I'll happily accept that amendment, and it became my motion.
Councillor Owen, yeah? Thank you. Councillor Rose has been waiting.
I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. There wasn't any intention to spend the whole of the 2 million or expectation the whole of the 2 million would be needed. But I did wanted to reinforce that about a year and a half ago, we did have very close negotiations with a cinema operator who was very keen on the building. They had drawings done. They actually think they could fit several screens in there. They've had it all done. They were on the verge of buying it, but they decided against it because of the increase in electric costs at the time, and it just seemed too worrying to expand. So it's at that stage of negotiation, and that cinema operator, along with another one, have kept ongoing contact with the clerk since then, but he's not in a position to negotiate them because we haven't enabled him to do that. So they are proactively keeping in contact. They know that Kind of Culture is now closed and situations change for them, and they are now looking at buying other cinemas. So the negotiator would be, do we buy it? Do they pay for the refurb? All that kind of thing. So it's just allowing the clerk to have a look and see if it's possible, really. Obviously.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Maguire.
Just to say, I obviously for years we've all known that residents want a cinema in Oswestry, and I'd like to see a cinema in Oswestry as well. But it does come with its risks. Obviously, there's a lot of work that the clerk is carrying on or doing currently with the projects that we've already got on the go, and I just wonder if we're overstretching ourselves. But also, as Councillor Kerr did point out before, we have got a resident in that building, which is a charity. But obviously, the charities are there. They don't pay the business rates or that a normal shop would have. So obviously we would be purchasing a building. If, let's say, for argument's sake, that these, like what's happened already before, the project falls apart because the person, the company that wants to bring the cinema here decides they don't want to, for whatever reason may be, we could end up being landed with a building that either we've paid X amount of money for, that's not being used for what we wanted it to be used for, it's not making a revenue, or it could even be, as it was for a while before the current occupant is in it, empty for such a long time that the council or the taxpayer ends up paying extra council tax for, because of obviously the precept will have to go up to pay for that. The same situation we had in the Edinburgh Wall Mill for quite some time, where we had to pay X amount per year for an empty building. So as much as I do support this whole project to a degree, I have my concerns with what I've just brought forward.
Thank you. Councillor Jones?
Yeah, if the knock on the door from the cinemas is great, then obviously negotiate with them, but I can't see that happening. I've got a lovely big TV in my house, and I think most people have, that they've got Netflix, Apple, I can't even name all the things that people have got on their TV. Certainly can't work it myself, but I'm not sure that it's going to be viable, but if the knock is strong, then let's go for it. But when Duncan talks about hubs, I mean, the current mayor is talking about supporting the Memorial Hall this year, which is one of our current hubs, and there's not enough people going there, is there? So, you've got to be careful, and we don't want to be interfering in public things too much at our level. We need to demand to sort itself out rather than us create the demand all the time. The town clerk and Henry have got a big job with the Lewid Mansion and the centre, and we haven't even let the Edinburgh Wooler Mills properly either. So we're not generating the income. So when Duncan says we're frittering money away, the 2 million is still there. So it is still there, and it does gain a bit of interest. Maybe it does lose a bit on inflation, but it's not frittered away. I think he'd like to spend every penny we've got and make us bankrupt at some point in time, which is what could happen if we had another COVID and the car parks go downhill. So we need to make sure we've got plenty of reserves. So I'm keen that we don't spend too much on this project.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wadey.
Can I just say, from a cinema-going point of view, Kina Culture was regularly sold out on a regular basis. Probably could sell out more than once over. And I think the experience of going to cinema is still a thing that happens, and obviously we're not going to be in control of what they show or anything like that. But with the with things like National Theatre experiences and stuff like that, it's giving Oswestry a chance to be part of culture they wouldn't necessarily be able to access. So I think, from that point of view of cinemas not being used, I don't think that's true.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I was kind of under the same impression as what Councillor Jones just mentioned. I was thinking that our cinema's really doing that well at the moment. I know there was a huge downturn during COVID, and the knock-on from that was actually that the studios couldn't even make movies, so it's stretched beyond COVID because there aren't all the big movies kind of coming out which bring people into the cinema. So I did a little bit of looking in, and ticket sales are massively going up again. They're not quite back to pre-COVID levels, but they're certainly getting there, which I was quite surprised to see with with the advent of so much smart TV. But it is, as Councillor Wadey mentioned, it's an experience, isn't it? It's an opportunity to go out and share these things with your family. So I see the value in it. I do also agree with Councillor Maguire, and it was a point that I was going to raise myself, that I do have a lot of concern around the fact that we have several projects, really large projects going at the moment, which we're trying to get those over the line. So taking on more is obviously going to be challenging. And as far as to Councillor Owen's amendment, it wouldn't be a multi-screen cinema, but we hopefully will find ourselves in position at the centre at some point, not too far away. It wouldn't be room for enough for multiple screens in there, but there's already a cinema screen and things in there in a large hall. I mean, you're looking at buying some raked seating, for example, and that money then could obviously help then bolster youth provision. So maybe there's some symbiosis between some of our other projects as well. So I think there's a real valid point that Councillor Owen raised about trying to look at these other options, because there are quite a lot out there, and if it ends up being the Regal and it works, then fantastic, but it would be good to have those other things in our back pocket. So yeah, I think overall for Councillor Kerr's motion and Councillor Owen's, it's a really good thing to move forward.
Thank you very much. I think we've said, yeah, please sum up.
I know just a few of the points. I think really what I was interested in is to try and combat the outflow of money that goes from families travelling to Wrexham, travelling to Shrewsbury to see Barbie, Oppenheimer, the big films, spending their money in the nighttime economy there and coming back to Oswestry. And that is happening on a weekly basis. That money, you could visually see it flowing out from the town. And unfortunately, a one-screen cinema, be it the film club or be it something else, is not going to replicate that because it's not giving you the same sort of experience. So I think there's a valid point about us being caught in limbo. What we'd seek for is a back-to-back deal, ultimately. So we get to the stage where on the day we buy it, that is the day we lease it to the company that's going to kit it out for cinema operator. So that's what I'll be looking, but that's the next stage down the line. But if you get the price agreed, you can then go to the operators and get the lease agreed, and you sign the two on the same day, so the council is not at risk. In terms of reserves, our 2 million is a complete windfall. We didn't need it. In fact, it was me that pushed us to set, and the auditors to give us, a level of reserves we needed to get through COVID. We did get through COVID, actually, but to cope with any eventuality. And that's around 1.5, 1.6 million, Aaron would tell me, and that's completely separate from this. So separate from the 2 million we have for the Smithfield receipt, we've got about 1.6 million, which we hold in reserves and should hold reserves to guard us against any downturn in car parking income or calamity or volcano or whatever could happen. So I don't think there's any fear about it's Shropshire Council are bankrupted, not Oswestry Town Council. There's no fear here about that happening. And we will need to adjust budgets accordingly. It says so. This may mean a readjustment to the work programme to free up resources. Unfortunately, we're not considering the work programme tonight, so we'll have to do that at a future meeting. But yes, I've always foreseen that we have to balance between priorities, and we may have to deprioritise something, to be perfectly blunt, and take something out of the programme. But we'll have to have that discussion when we get to that stage.
Right, thank you. So we'll move to the vote. All in favour of the amended motion, please show. Unanimous. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, item 9 is the standing committees. We've got the minutes of the planning committee held on 20th of December and 21st of February, copies previously provided. Councillor Upton?
Move we adopt.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Rose. All in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item 10, the subcommittees and working groups. One police and partnership panel from the 18th of March, Youth Services Partnership Panel 11th of March, Youth Music Festival Committee 1st of Feb, 14th of March, and the Market Mural Working Group. To note the minutes of that. Now, let me just find, because, which one is it? Nope. The Market Mural Working Group, obviously there are some resolutions that just wanted to read out. The consultation will last for a 4-week period. The concept designs will be shown on boards in the Guildhall and the Market Hall. The voting from the public will be predominantly in person with an option for a doodle poll online. The concept designs will be anonymised. Artists would be discouraged from proactive marketing of their proposal. Examples of other work would also be displayed, and information presented to the public would explain that the concepts were illustrative and not necessarily the end product. So the designs are concepts, not what would actually go on the wall, okay? So I just wanted to make those resolutions clear before we just adopt. So if anyone does want to make a comment on any of those minutes, but especially the... Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, so just in terms of the consultation, I think, Henry, we're ready to go next week, is that right? On that, I think there's 6 applicants there who are very strong. What we're struggling with is the doodle poll. So we're not going to be doing the doodle poll. It just adds a layer of complexity that I don't think that we need. All artists have been back in touch, provided the right information, and it's been really positively received by the artists as well.
Lovely.
So let's hope that the consultations are a real true record of the public's view.
Okay, so when was that? When are we starting the consultation? Following the 21st of this month. Yeah. Consultation will be open. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Councillor Rose.
Is there any chance of putting it in the library as well? Or I just think the market's not open all the time, and 4 weeks, and Guildhall, just places where people go because they haven't heard that it's at the Guildhall.
We haven't prepared for that.
Yeah.
So we'll cover the PR to say the Guildhall. Guildhall is open. Yeah. I do get the point. It's just a little bit late. Could we have a conversation with the library, Henry? Because there's only another set of. If it's okay, we'll have a conversation with the library. Thank you for bringing it up. And if it's doable, we'll try and do it.
Okay, so happy to move those en bloc if councillors are happy, unless there's more comments or questions to be made. En bloc? Okay, all in favour? Thank you. Back to the agenda. Appointments to subcommittees, working groups and outside bodies, 11A. The council is asked to confirm membership of subcommittees, working groups and outside bodies as per Appendix A.
Can I just add in
yes.
here that we do need to consider the appointments of the chair and vice chair of planning, as I emailed you out earlier today. It is on standing orders that the council appoints both positions, actually. Yeah. So we'll just need to, Mr Mayor, just make sure we pick that up as part of the process.
Yes. Yeah, I'll deal with that one first then. I want to propose from the chair that Frank Davis becomes chair of planning. He's been vice chair for 2 or 3 years now, and has always stepped in when needed and performed the role adequately well, if not brilliantly. Does anyone second that? Sorry, I realised that adequately was...
Of course, there was a compliment hidden in there somewhere, wasn't there?
Apologies, no. You know what I'm trying to say. I think Councillor Davis would make a great chair of planning. So, seconded by Councillor Jones. Thank you very much. Are there any other proposals for Chair of Planning? In that case, all in favour of Councillor Davis? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. We need a Vice Chair of Planning. Are there any nominations? Councillor Kerr.
Propose Councillor Rose as the outgoing mayor.
Councillor Rose, is there a second of Councillor Rose? Councillor Davis, thank you. Any further nominations? All in favour of Councillor Rose? Thank you very much. Okay. The other subcommittees, panels and outside bodies, there is a list of who's on what. Does anyone wish to come off, come on? Councillor Rose.
Sorry, I can't find the list at the moment for some reason, but there were a few things. Where's it before? There's E. There's B. Sorry. I think it'd be after A, wouldn't you?
No, it's halfway through.
It's after.
It's towards the end. It's by
Towards the end.
Yeah, it's by the before all of the.
Before that. Sorry, I should have got it open ready.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, I just didn't recognise it. I was on them as the mayor, so I need to sort of put myself back on ones that I, wanted to be on now that I'm not the mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Radford and I on everything, but you need to
Yes.
choose what you want to remain on. Yeah.
Yes.
Should we take them one by one? Would it be
Yeah.
easier to go?
Yeah. Sure. Which report is this? Here we go. Policy group. We need 5 members in total, including mayor and deputy mayor. Yeah. So
3 additional posts.
3 additional posts on the policy group. They're not named at the moment, so I'm looking for volunteers. Councillor Chadwick, Councillor Owen, Councillor Kerr, Councillor Rose. So it's a minimum of 5. We can have 6, can we, or is it mandatory 5?
No, it's not. Listen, excuse me.
Okay.
The more councillors we have...
It's
in these
good
things,
because
the
we're
better.
often...
More chance of being quorate.
Yeah.
Do we have to vote on every...
Unless there's dissent. I think if there's dissent, then yes, we need to vote. But if everybody's out, I'm happy to go forward with
No dissent, thank you. Markets, performance and liaison. So at the moment we've got Councillor Davis, Councillor Froggatt, Councillors Kerr, Milner, Moore, Price and Stackhouse. Councillor Kerr off, Councillor Stackhouse off,
On.
Councillor Rose on, Councillor Moore off. Okay.
Can I say Councillor Milner and Price haven't been to any of them either? I'm just not sure that they can make them, but they're not here, so...
Well, it's difficult, yeah. So we will leave Councillor Davis, Councillor Froggatt, Councillor Kerr. Were you coming off that one? Yeah. So we've then got Councillor Milner, Councillor Price, myself and the Mayor, and Councillor Rose to come on as named. So that's 5. That should be enough. Yeah. All okay. Kyglass Park and Cemetery Management Group. Currently, Councillors Coburn, Froggatt, Kerr, Milner, Moore, Price and Stackhouse. Would anyone like to... Councillor Rose would like to...
And it's the same thing. I think we should write to Councillor Milner and Price, who haven't attended any in the last 3 years, but they've been on it for 3 years.
Perhaps we'll get them to confirm their membership, but we'll leave them named for now. Everyone else happy to stay on that one?
Did Dolly say she was coming on?
Councillor Rose, were you coming on that one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Councillor...
The difficulty about leaving them on is it affects the quorum, doesn't it? It adds 2 to the members and it makes it harder to be quorum because of the third rule. So I'm no different if they can't attend. It's probably better to take them off. We can always put them back on again because we do have this problem. Some of our meetings haven't been quorate, and that's not going to be helped if we've got 2 people who have never attended.
So quorum is minimum 3.
I mean, that's a bit or a third, isn't it?
It's a third with a minimum of 3, yeah.
How many have we got?
We've got 3's fine.
Well, I think we should leave them on, but confirm with them their membership and availability. And if it needs looking at again, then we'll bring it back to another meeting. I don't think we should make decisions for them while they're not here and haven't had a chance to give their opinion. But next one is audit, procurement and performance. We have at the moment Councillors Davis, Jones, Kerr, Maguire and Moore. Councillor Rose, remaining on, coming on. Anyone wishing to step aside? No? Then that one's done. Thank you. Allotments Liaison Committee. Councillors Cassin, Froggatt, Moore and Upton. Councillor Rose, you want to be named? Thank you. Councillor Upton? Councillor Upton to come off that one. That okay?
This is a meeting that we really struggle to get together,
Anyone?
and perhaps if we struggle again this year, we need to just think about how we work with the liaison with the allotments group. But let's give her another go.
Okay. Youth Services Partnership Panel. Councillors Chadwick, Maguire, Moore, Milner, Stackhouse, Upton and Wadey. But in red, an opportunity for more councillors. Councillor Owen. You can indeed. Councillor Upton. Councillor Upton taken off. Councillor Rose to be named on. That one. Thank you. Oswestry Youth Music Festival. We have Councillors Cassin, Moore and Wadey. Everyone happy? Anyone want to come on? Councillor Rose?
Just because it's hard to get.
Yeah.
So,
Happy, thank you. Climate Change Partnership Panel. Councillors Cassin, Kerr, Milner and Stackhouse.
It's out to Councillor Rose.
Add Councillor Rose. Add Councillor Owen, thank you. HR Panel Disciplinary Committee. Councillor Coburn. Two more councillors are needed. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Coburn. Councillor Owen, thank you very much. Any more for any more? No, thank you. Appeals Committee, appointed when needed. White Ribbon Steering Group, so as well as myself and Councillor Radford, we've got Councillors Kerr, Milner, Stackhouse, Upton and Wadey. Councillor Wadey to be removed. Anyone else wishing to be removed or anyone wishing to volunteer? You'll stay? Thank you. Thanks, Councillor. Okay, we'll move on then. Police Partnership Panel. Councillors Cassin, Kerr, Maguire, Milner, Moore, Stackhouse and Upton. Opportunities for more councillors. Councillor Rose, you want to be on. Councillor Wadey, you want to be on. Councillor Owen, on. Councillor Upton staying on. Anyone else to volunteer or be removed? No, thank you. Equality and Diversity. Councillors Cassin, Chadwick, Coburn and Wadey. Anyone wishing to remove or anyone wishing to volunteer? No? Pardon?
Yes, happy still.
Thank you. Christmas lighting. We've got Councillors Cassin, Maguire, Moore and Wadey. Opportunity for additional councillors. Councillor Rose coming on. Councillor Wadey coming off. Oh dear.
It's unlikely to, yeah.
Councillor Coburn, you'll come on. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Tender Liaison Group. What are we doing with this one? Is this just
Probably
appointed?
probably just need to appoint 5 of you. It doesn't have to be the...
You want to appoint 5 now,
Please.
not just as and when. Okay. Right, tender liaison groups. So when we're looking at a big project, the procedure is now to have a proper group to go over the tender proposal so that we agree what's in it before it goes out. Councillor Davis. It's gone off. Yes. Councillor Jones on. Councillor Davis on. Councillor Kerr on. Councillor Rose on. Councillor Wadey, did you have your hand up a second ago?
Does it not make sense to pay, possibly, depending on what the project is, obviously we've all got different expertises. That's probably not
Yeah.
a word, but so like, does it not make sense to choose people when anyone tender, or does it need to be tacitly recorded?
Well, I think the clerk would like a list of people who he can call on, but you know, for each particular project, I'm sure there'll be people with, you know, skills, expertise, and knowledge. Like Councillor Chadwick was brilliant with the car park toilets, for instance, with specialised knowledge there. So absolutely, I don't think anyone will be denied the chance. But Councillor Owen, were you wanting to be on? Yeah. Can we add Councillor Owen? Councillor Chadwick.
I was just going to say, I thought it was my understanding from the last kind of when we were talking about the tender group is that we had a base number of councillors with some vacant seats that would be called upon for those expertise, but depending on the subject.
Yeah, that's basically, so now we've got 5,
Yeah, that's nice.
5 as a base, and then we can appoint as necessary.
Just as a point on here, obviously this is we do this annually, but if any member goes away from here and goes, oh, I wish I put my name forward for that group, or or in the future, just let us know. I think these are inclusive rather than exclusive groups.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so that's the working groups, subcommittees, etc. Now we move on to outside bodies. So area committee of parish and town councils, 2 representatives are required.
I would say on this, I think the mayor needs to be one of them. I would say that. I think it's a key role. However, it's not written down anywhere that has to be.
Okay.
However, the mayor does attend chair people's groups, either the mayor or deputy chair. So then this is there has to be some continuity there. So you just have to think about how you want to play that. So it's not a big issue. But,
is it 2 maximum, or?
It is.
It is, okay. Councillor Rose.
You've been there this year. What I found was that we were the only ones who were just sending 1 person. The mayor was all the other councils have 2, and for some reason we just had always had 1. But any councillor can attend any of their meetings, but they can't vote. So if you had particular interest in what was on the agenda, any councillor can go along anyway. I did want to put myself forward for this because at the moment I've got a motion that's being dealt with by them, and I've had to go away and redo it, and it's not finished yet. So that's why I would. But you can also stop halfway through the year and vote. We can vote in someone different. For example, I could back out once my motion's done.
Right.
Someone else
Okay.
could join, but I'd very much like to just get this finished.
It does tick the continuity box as well. But Councillor Owen? Okay. Are the meetings evenings or? Yeah. Okay. Then I'm happy to be one of those representatives.
Can I suggest that I just get this through and then we come back and
Absolutely.
turn
Yeah.
our own in if you want to do it? Yeah.
Okay, so that's that one. Oswestry and Bloom. At the moment, it's the mayor and Councillor Froggatt.
No, it's me.
Yes, it was you. Yes.
Before it was the mayor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, do you want to stay on
Yes, I would like.
in Bloom? Because, yeah. So, should we have Councillor Rose and Councillor Froggatt on the In Bloom committee? Oswestry Twinning Association. Is that the mayor, as in Councillor Rose specifically volunteered, or no?
Really
So
sorry,
that's
I don't
me.
think
That
you-
was me.
I don't think your hand's going to be good up for that one.
Okay, that's me then. Future Oswestry Group, that needs updating anyway, doesn't it? Because I'm not on that anymore.
No, I think we've assumed it was a role that went with the mayorship. It doesn't have to be. So,
Right. Okay,
you can-
because at
you
the
can-
moment, Councillors Kerr and Councillor Moore are.
No, well, at the moment it's me. I've been to those meetings when you resign.
So you can,
Right.
but you can appoint whoever you want.
Yeah.
2 members and a substitute.
Okay, so, well, it's up for debate, basically. These are not held by anyone. In particular, it's who the council wants to appoint to these groups. So, I had to step back because of time commitments during the day. Currently, we have Councillor Kerr, Councillor Rose and Councillor Moore as substitute. does anyone want to change that? Councillor Moore.
I'm happy to stay on as substitute if there's nobody else, but I struck.
Your mic's gone off, sorry.
There's only been a couple of opportunities to attend it as a substitute, and on those chances I haven't actually been able to. So if there's somebody else who can do a better job, then great. Otherwise, I'll do my best if I can. It's gone off again.
Well, it's a good point. Thank you for sticking with it. But is there anyone who would like to attend, who's more available as a substitute, who might be able to step in?
I think they're always on Thursday mornings.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
always on Thursday mornings. Councillor Owen. Okay, we'll swap Councillor Moore for Councillor Owen. Oswestry Health Group.
I think, to be fair, that group doesn't exist.
Right. Shall we remove that group then?
Remove that group.
Thank you. Oswestry Town Charities.
So just on this one, I've been informed Councillor Kerr has resigned as a trustee. Mike, are you...
Well, I just struggle to attend the meetings.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my daytimes are now not available 90% of the time. So it really would be appreciated if there are other councillors who can actually perform the role reliably.
I'm in discussion with the town clerk.
So these meet twice a year, and they are daytime meetings because they will rely on the other trustees. We have three positions. Councillor Stackhouse is one trustee. You're going to have to write to me and resign as a trustee.
Yeah.
So we're looking for at least one, if not two.
Okay, so Councillor Jones is a strong maybe. Anybody else to join Councillor Stackhouse?
Do I need to try and sell it for you? It's a really fulfilling and progressive... Oh,
Councillor Upton, thank you very much.
they are, however, face-to-face meetings and not done online. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. And you become a trustee
I'll write to you properly.
of the charity. Okay, restoring the Railway Partnership Group. At the moment we have Councillor Kerr. Are you happy to remain? Never met. It's never met? Okay.
So the project has been a little bit slower than anticipated, waiting for the decision on the next stage of the business case, and I think that decision is imminent, and they are likely to need to meet. So you know there is a role for us, and it is important that we're represented on that group.
Yes. Yeah. No, it is important. So I mean, if anyone else is fighting for it, you know, and wants to put it to a vote. But if everyone's happy to allow Councillor Kerr to continue, then he's happy to do so. Yep. Okay. Right. That's that item then. So, oh, hang on. Item B there. 11B. Sorry, Councillor Upton. Yep.
Forgive me if it's already been mentioned. Am I right in thinking that Oswestry Borderland Tourism is on the list as well? Because I seem to remember a couple of years ago, members were put forward for that.
It's not on my list.
Unless it's been removed. Yeah, I swear we used to send a rep.
We did used to have one.
Oh.
I only asked because I was made a substitute for it a while back.
Sandra, do you know whether the Oswestry Borderland Tourism should be on the list of outside bodies? Mr. Clark, it all fell apart. Councillor Upton has asked about the Oswestry Borderland Tourism. Do we still appoint to that?
No, well, it's not on the list.
It's not on the list. That's what I said.
Yeah, as it was more liaison. However, there are ongoing discussions with OBT in terms of our input. And I think, to be fair, I think their preference would be for officer input rather than elected members because it's operational issues as opposed to... But, so if that's okay, we'll carry on with that in mind until know any different.
Okay, so 11B is signatories to appoint 3 councillors to sign the schedule of payments on a rotating basis. Had been previously carried out by Councillors Jones, Moore and Stackhouse. So we now need another 3, or the same 3.
As long as the councillor's happy to continue, I'm really happy with that.
Yeah. Great signatories. Councillor Upton. Okay, so
Yeah.
we can swap Councillor Stackhouse for Councillor Upton. Everyone happy with that one? Oh. Yes, you are. Okay, item 12, schedule of meetings. We've been given the meetings in Appendix C. All happy to adopt? All in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? No, thank you. Sundry creditors. We have 5 reports of creditors there. Any comments? Questions? I'll move we adopt on block then. Can I have that seconded? Councillor Moore, thank you. All in favour? Thank you. The archives, we've got a report, the quarterly report from the archives. Does anyone have any comments, questions or queries? Move we note. Thank you very much. All in favour? Thank you. Policies have been reviewed. Complaints, policy scheme of delegation, social media guidance and training policy. Quite a thorough going over. I mean, social media is quite scary, isn't it? How much has been actually added and amended in just a year.
Yeah, so that has had quite an overhaul because I've reviewed the civility and respect social media guidance. Obviously conscious of the pressures that we're all under on social media and the implications of that, and also reread the Local Government Association model guidance as well. But it's you know, it's really important. I think there's some really good advice in there, and obviously if members are struggling and are having issues and problems, then they need to report them, and it's really important that you protect your own health and well-being in your role as a councillor. It's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't just keep it to yourself if you're struggling with any sort of online abuse. But also, yeah, just, I mean, we're all aware, but just be careful about how we comment. Councillor Maguire.
Just to echo what everyone said, I mean, even when Councillor Rose became mayor, you even said you're going to take yourself off it because some of the things that you see on there, some of the names you get called on there. And I did notice in here that there's a reference to name calling and bullying and such like. So to see that in there is actually quite good and protective towards councillors, because at the end of the day, we're all here trying to do our best, and we are, you know, we don't get paid for it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's not nice to see. So yeah, it's good that it's on there now.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. But other than that, are there any questions or points to raise about the policy reviews? No? Councillor Maguire, I did hear you say move we note, so I'll second. All in favour?
So we're adopting them.
Adopting the reviews, sorry, yes. 16, grants and donations monitoring. Oswestry Sports Forum. Council is asked to note the report from Oswestry Sports Forum, but they have given us some feedback, really, because we did, if councillors remember, they had an underspend in the previous year, and so we didn't give them as much money last year. So they've now awarded all that money and are asking for the grant to rise again to the full £3,000 that it had been previously, because they were oversubscribed this year. So I'm just trying to find it. Here we go. Yeah, where's the relevant? Nearly every applicant had applied for more than the grant awarded, but the OSF Grants Committee distributed only the amount of funding in this year's allocation. If more funds had been available, we could have awarded larger grants. We would be delighted if Oswestry Town Council could award a stipend of £3,000 in the coming year as originally offered. So are we to decide that now? So if we adopt that, then they'll get the 3,000 rather than the 2,000 that we gave last year. Thank you, Councillor Jones. I'm happy to second, or Councillor Rose. All in favour? Thank you. And B is the Cube. The report there to confirm a payment of £1,000 for year 23-24.
So, Mr Mayor, these are part of our ongoing monitoring of grants and donations, so we don't just give the money away, we follow up to make sure that they deliver what they say they have. We've got further updates and reports to come to you,
Yeah.
but this was the first one, so it's just for noting at this point.
Okay, move we note then. All in favour? Thank you. 17, Shropshire Council consultations. Right, so garden waste and recycling centres, as has been well publicised, there's a 6-week consultation on proposals to introduce annual subscription fee of £52 for the collection of garden waste and about the future operation of the council's 5 household recycling centres. Everyone's had an opportunity to respond. I'm sure we've all had correspondence from residents. Would anyone like to speak on this consultation? Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, I think we should be completely opposed to it. I think, first of all, let's deal with the civic amenity of recycling sites. Obviously, if you reduce 2, I haven't said which 2 there will be, but if it's the one in Oswestry, not only will we have a reduction in recycling materials being presented, we'll have an increase in people driving to Shrewsbury or indeed out of the county if they can get away with it to Wrexham, and we'll have an increase in fly tipping as well. I think by the time you cost all those up, you will come to a great deal more cost than actually maintaining the centre that's open. So I feel this is a very, very retrograde step, which will actually cost the residents of Shropshire more money than actually continuing with the centres that we've actually got. In terms of collection for garden waste, I tried twice to get Shropshire Council to adopt a waste minimisation policy. One of that aspects would be to encourage home composting, because green waste, particularly if it enters the waste stream, is a major cause of methane gas, which is a contributor to climate emissions. First time they threw it out, so they didn't want it. Second time, 2 years later, they said, oh yes, we'll have it, but we haven't got it yet. But even before they have the policy, they're introducing the changes. So it's the wrong way round. They're doing things not from a policy directive, they're doing things just to make the books balance. The reason this is important is because if you give people a chance to set up home composting, you give them support, then they may be able to lose their green waste composting. If you just do it immediately, the service stops, all that will happen is that waste will be tipped in your rather large residual waste bin, and it will be collected by Shropshire Council, but it will no longer be sent for composting, it will get mixed in, and it will cause methane. So this is a doubly damaging policy, the way it's been introduced. So I think we should be very clear that both on environmental grounds, on equality grounds, because why should 2 towns suffer the loss of their recycling centres when the rest are maintained, and on grounds of cost to residents who have to search around for somewhere to take their waste to, we should be completely opposed to this.
Councillor Maguire.
Just to echo what Councillor Kerr just said, I mean, I sent quite a long, lengthy email, but just to shorten it slightly, you know, they wanting us that it would be absolutely ridiculous to close Oswestry one for a start, being as Oswestry is one of the largest constituencies within North Shropshire alone. If, as Councillor Kerr said, if you close that, all you're going to do is bring up fly tipping. We've already had one incident of fly tipping in Trevonan just this week, and that's, you know, that costs the taxpayer money to remove. But one thing I did suggest in the email is I cannot understand why we are having a brown bin or green waste bin removal every other week in winter months. You know, if we're looking to save money, why are we having waste removed from a brown bin? You go around Oswestry on a brown, I call it brown bin, let's call it brown bin day. On brown bin day, in the winter, you're lucky to see one outside. So somebody's being paid to go and collect these bins unnecessarily. So is there money to be saved somewhere? Yeah, I think so, but it's definitely not through shutting any recycling space. Not just Oswestry, any. It's just, it will cost the taxpayer more money. I mean, I've reported an incident today where there's litter being strewn around a residential area. That's costing the taxpayer money to clear up. And it's going to get a heck of a lot worse if we close just one.
Yep, thank you. Councillor Coburn, sorry, I missed you before.
Yeah, I would echo that issue, that the comments that both Councillor Kern and Councillor Maguire have made about the recycling centres. Having looked at the consultation, it sort of feels like they're trying to edge away from closing a recycling centre because it's obviously such a bad idea, and trying to suggest that you could fund it with the fee for garden waste or by reducing the hours that the recycling centres are open, etc. And I think probably it's a bad situation. All the options are bad, but maybe reducing the hours of the recycling centres might be some way that money could be saved without forcing people into going elsewhere or fly tipping. But I'm not convinced that the collection of garden waste is a good solution, because either it will persuade people to abandon their gardens, pave it over, put plastic artificial turf on, which is bad for biodiversity, bad for flooding. Again, it will cause more costs than it will save. Or people will just put the waste in their other bins and will cost the council that way. So I do feel that there's a reason why there hasn't been charges for garden waste collections. There's a reason why we've had these recycling centres before. It's because it's good policy and it will save money overall, and that we should try and do everything we can to retain that.
Okay, I think they are two separate consultations. So the proposal is to object to the closure of the recycling centres, echoing all the comments from that have been made by the public about fly tipping, increased journey times. My mind's gone blank. All those things. So, pardon? Yeah. So, all in favour of putting in that objection? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? So, one against. Okay. And on the garden waste collection, as a separate issue, Councillor Kerr is recommending or proposing that we object to that as well, Councillor, because it doesn't include support for people to compost, so it'll just result in additional residual waste and methane and cost to the council. I think that was your summing up. Does that have a seconder? Councillor Maguire, thank you. All in favour of that objection going in? Any against? Councillor Jones, thank you. Okay, so moving on, Gambling Act policy. There's a consultation about that as well. Anyone wish to propose any comment from the council? Councillor Jones.
Yeah, it's a real epidemic, the gambling. I mean, I see these gambling adverts on the telly telling you not to bet and stop betting, which seems to encourage more people to bet. I mean, it seems to be a very bad situation at the moment. I mean, I heard someone say this is a casino in your pocket now, which it is. It is scary what's going to happen, what behind closed doors. But obviously, football needs to get its act together, because they've still got gambling companies on their shirts. I mean, it doesn't seem quite right. They banned alcohol off the shirts, and yet they haven't banned gambling off the shirts yet. So I don't know what we can do about it, but hopefully the government can start doing something. But
Yeah.
it is a difficult one to stop. It seems to be an endemic, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think that's part of the consultation.
No, no.
Unfortunately, it's the local authority regulations, isn't it? So, yeah, sorry.
Just a minor point. I have read it this afternoon, and it does reference the role of parish councils as interested parties. But I note within there that we're never told about any issues or changes. So, if it's okay with members, I'll respond and say, we've had we're pleased that you recognise us as interested parties, but how are you going to engage and let us know on specific pieces of work, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And it gives you an opportunity to have a say. So
Yeah.
if there's a new, betting shop in Oswald Street,
Yeah.
you say, no, we're against that because, but currently we don't know about it.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, I'll happy to propose that. Is there a seconder? Let's do it officially. All in favour?
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
I'm tired now.
School library service. This was brought. This was before Shropshire Council last week, and there was a petition about not closing the school library service because of the service that it provides. Obviously, helping school children access books. Would anyone like to propose any comments? Councillor Wadey.
As someone who's used this actual service, it's amazing. It's not just books, it's like artifacts and stuff as well. And it's a fantastic resource for children, and it's a way of schools being able to increase their library, increase their kind of the access to books without having to purchase loads of books, because books are expensive, and I know that because I work in a bookshop, so I can say. So losing this would be a massive shame. It gives children a chance to enhance their learning and making things seem more relevant and realistic and immersive. So I think it would be an absolute shame to lose this, definitely. And we should support.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak? Sorry. No?
So is that a proposal from Charlotte?
So, someone's pointing at Councillor Radford. As if Would you like to speak?
I think getting rid of the Shropshire services is appalling, given that we have a reduction in our library offering across the county already, and given that we have levels of deprivation across our towns. Oswestry alone has got some high levels of deprivation in areas where children having access to books to aid their education is really, really important, and we're having a direct impact upon our children and our youth in terms of their growth and their resilience in our communities. This needs to be highlighted.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chadwick, and I'll bring you in, Councillor Upton.
Yeah, just to kind of move on from Councillor Radford's comments, you know, we're in a generation where there's record numbers of young adults and children that aren't able to read, and now you're taking away more of their reading provision. And also not everybody is a reader. Some people are visual learners, and being able to access that information in a variety of methods, as Councillor Wadey said, of being able to look at artefacts and things like that, you're then creating more barriers for children being able to learn. So and the fact that they use the same reasoning for each one of their proposals, that they've got a £62 million saving to make through all of their consultation process, is just absolutely ridiculous. They might want to not spend so much money on a consultation company for cost savings.
Okay, so, Councillor Upton, yes.
I'd just like to add to Councillors Radford and Chadwick's comments that as a council who are committed to delivering and ensuring youth services to people of Oswestry, that in addition to providing youth services, that we should also be safeguarding and championing the existing provision. And one could argue that this is a provision, okay, it's not provided by us, but if we don't fight for it, then what's it all about?
Thank you very much. So the proposal really is to strongly object to any proposal to close the school library service for the reasons given: access to books, promoting literacy and youth services, and as Councillor Chadwick says, bringing in the alternative provision of artefacts as well as just books. Well, the school library service is more about providing books to schools rather than.
I can accept. It's like a box arrives with everything in it at the school. It doesn't. You don't meet in other places. It all comes. The school pick what they want depending on what topic they're studying, and then it comes to them rather than it meeting somewhere else.
But yeah, point taken. Yeah, reading is shown to be very good for mental health in many ways. So, all in favour of submitting that objection? Any against? Any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you very much. where are we? Draft independent living and specialist accommodation strategy. Any proposals to submit a comment as the council in this consultation? No? I'll move on then. E is Shropshire Local Plan Examination, further consultation.
So there's an opportunity, if you want to discuss this any further, for it to go on to the planning committee for next week. But if members are happy that you don't have any comments, then we won't include it on the agenda.
Councillor Upton.
Move we delegate to planning.
Move we put this onto the planning, the next planning meeting. Okay.
It's only relevant if you've got something to say. There's no point putting it on. So as long as members are happy to review all the paperwork and have something to say about it, then that's okay. But if you don't, then there's no point putting it on planning. That's it.
Gives us a bit more time.
Okay.
Yeah, so is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Owen. All in favour? Thank you. Any against? No, thank you. Empty homes consultation launch. Closes on the 26th of May, this one, so not much time if anyone does want to make any comments. Councillor Rose.
Well, I did manage to read through all of this one. I think it's a really important service, and they did seem to have quite good success. So they're partly saying that they've, I think it was about 1 every 2 weeks that they'd managed to bring back houses into occupation. They did say there were other inputs into that to some of them, but it did seem that a small team of just one person was managing to do quite a good job. So it seems a bit of a pity to have these houses empty, because it's not just not providing accommodation when we're short of accommodation, but it's also, I've had several clients who are just living back to next door to a house that's pretty well falling down, and that it seems to take ages to do anything about it. I was a bit surprised that they said they've got a list of their other departments and could do different things towards it, like they've got people that can enforce measures to deal with vermin and all, that kind of thing. But at the bottom it says enforce sales, compulsory purchase orders and empty dwelling management orders. There's currently a lack of expertise to effectively use these powers, so we won't be using them. It's unlikely we'll be using them. So it was just, they said unless in severe cases. So if they're able to use them in severe cases, they must have some expertise to do it, because surely, so I'm just sort of wondering why they haven't had that expertise in place, really, before all this happened.
I don't think we can answer that here.
No.
So, Councillor Kerr.
No.
You can say that a competent council of Shropshire's size should be able to have the relevant expertise in order to make use of compulsory purchase orders and empty property orders. They're not that complicated, and I think we can generally say in this consultation this starts to indicate we haven't got a council that's able to fulfil its basic duties properly. And I think we need to say that, because the people who lose out on this are people who need homes. The actual number of empty properties in this country has gone up over the last 10 years, not down. And the only way of addressing it is to have somebody actually enforcing. There's no other way.
Councillor Maguire.
I agree with Duncan, because I've got a situation in my ward where there's been a house empty for so long that the house next to it, has mould coming through. And this situation is only going to make the matters worse for that person if it can't be resolved, whether it be enforcement or a compulsory purchase order. So something needs to be in place for it, because otherwise, what safeguarding has that resident around that property got?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent point. So the proposal, which is seconded, is to object on the grounds that the council should be enforcing and using powers to reduce the number of empty properties, and to protect, safeguard neighbouring properties from the effects of neglect when it happens. All in favour of that? Any against? Any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you. Okay. 18. Honorary awards. To consider the appointment of honorary freemen and free women. Oswestry Town Council has the power to do so. We have 6 at the moment. Yes. Should council wish to consider, a full report can be brought forward in June, setting out a process. So I guess, you know, what it boils down to is if there is anyone that we would consider, but don't say who, because it would have to be kept secret until an appointment was made. So do members want to pursue this process and create another or several more free men or free women? Councillor Upton.
Yeah, if there are Oswestrians out there who have done a lot for our town, who feel they deserve such recognition, then we should indeed pursue it. And I move that we do.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I'll second that. I mean, Councillor Ollie Knowles has just been the mayor, and you realise when you're mayor how many people, and Jay's of course, how many people out there are doing great voluntary work for us, and without those people, and I think in the future we're going to need a lot more of those people, and I think we need to encourage that, and you know, would be an honour to be a free man of Oswestry, walk the sheep up the street or whatever they have to do. It would be a good thing to honour people, so I'm all for it.
That I would like to see, Councillor Jones. Right, I don't think there's any need to debate. All in favour of the proposal? Thank you. Any against? No. I think that was unanimous. Okay. The operations manager has sprung into action to deliver his report, or present his report rather. We should have already read it. I'll hand over to you, Henry.
Thank you very much. So in this update report, there's 4 areas that I'll be talking about. The first one being the English Halls public toilets. So they've been open up for nearly 3 weeks now. Just to update members really. So to date we've had one complaint written into the council, and that was regarding the opening times, or more so the closing times, or what time the toilets close. To be clear, these are the cubicles, not the changing places facility. Also, there's been some confusion with some of the signs on the doors when the toilets were first opened. There was a baby changing sign on the door. Some members of the public thought that that's all that was in them, was baby changing facilities. So we've taken those down and just put the word toilets so that it was clear for everybody with that as well. So within this section of the report, there's a bit more information regarding the opening times and the closing times. The cubicle toilets, including the disabled toilet, is controlled electronically. It's not controlled manually. So there is the option to extend, should members wish to whatever time. It's just a case of me changing the dial within the service corridor on that particular toilet or toilets. But it does come with some risks. So as I put in the report, any change to the current setup need to balance the benefits against the risk with that. The change of places facility is behind the shutter, so that is done manually. So should members wish to change the opening times of that, again, that is 8 till 4 with the current setup, which it was prior to any refurbishment taking place. Then there would be potential additional cost, as we would need somebody to lock that up outside of past 4 o'clock, for example.
Okay, thank you, Henry. Yeah, I've got Councillor Rose down first.
Again, I don't know if this is a motion or just asking. Could you actually come back with the next report on the toilets about the actual cost that it would be for having Changing Places toilet open later? Mainly because we wanted to have Changing Places so that people can access the town, and if they are shut during the evening, then people can't access the evening economy. And I know that there's people on a person online who's mentioned this, but they didn't actually come to council and report it in the end, that suggestion. I just think it would be worth us looking into, because whereas everyone else can probably use a toilet in a pub and a hotel or a cafe, whatever they're open in the evening, then people who need the Changing Places facility still can't access the town. But obviously it's a lot of equipment in there, so it's that balance between the cost and the vulnerability of to harm. But as you say, we could pay the security guys to shut it later, and it won't be cleaned after the 4 o'clock time. So So that's also the issue, but you'd hope people going in there are going to keep it in reasonable condition. So I just think we should at least look at the potential cost to see if it's possible. But the others, you know, if you're out in the evening, you should be able to use the loo, shouldn't you?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I mean, does that need to be a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or a proposal.
A
Yeah.
proposal to bring back a report on the costs and options of keeping the changing places facility open later. Does it have a seconder? Councillor Chadwick, thank you. Councillor, I had Councillor Moore waiting as well. Is that okay? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Rose has kind of jumped on some of the points I was going to raise as well. So wholly in agreement. I think that the facility isn't open late enough, and yeah, I think we've all had, well, either seen things online or had correspondence from members of the public saying they can't access restaurants in the evenings and things. I think there's a sweet spot, isn't there, between restaurants going out and eating and the late night drinking economy kind of kick it on, and we want to probably find the sweet spot between those. This is a question possibly for you, Henry, I don't, and possibly for Aaron as well, whether or not it's even possible. We're talking about the costs of having somebody go out there to drop the shutters. There's 18 elected officials on this council. That's not an awful lot of effort for somebody to go and turn a key to drop a shutter, is it? I'd happily volunteer to do that. I don't know whether other people are actually interested in doing work for their communities, but I'm sure most people would. I'd be more than happy to do that. Is that something that's viable and possible, that councillors could be trained to turn a key to drop a shutter?
Yeah, we could put it forward as an option. I think the key thing with there is that we need reliability, don't we? You know, we can't be in a position where, and this isn't saying that members aren't reliable, but we can't be managing a rota of 18 people. It just makes it very, very difficult. But we can include it as an option. And you know, there are options such as leaving the shutter up, which is no cost. So we'll you know, as per the report, we can do it. We'll balance the risk and include that as an idea as well.
Thank you. Councillor Wadey.
This is probably more of a question as well. When we've got events, obviously I take a point, Ollie's point about obviously there's cafes and pubs and things, but if we're running an event in town, does it make sense for us to keep them open later on those nights, for example, like Balloon Festival or the fireworks night? Because I think it's directly linked to something we're putting on, so therefore it's our responsibility to make sure there's facilities. So if that's something that...
We certainly would do anyway for Christmas Music Live,
right,
because that's a town centre event. But yeah, we could look at, it's only a balloon carnival, isn't it? Really.
Is that for the entire facility or just the change places facility? The whole, yeah.
The whole, I mean, like, as we know, the town gets very busy on those nights, and they're the nearest, apart from obviously the toilets in the park, but they are I imagine most people are going to be using that car park to be able to attend the event as well, so I think it makes sense to have them staying open for those nights.
Thank you. I've got Councillor Davis.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a camera outside there, but can you just set it up to work off your phone, off an app? I mean, I can look at my security, well, I haven't got my phone, but I can look at my security camera at home, I can move it around, do all sorts with it. Why can't you have an app on the thing that, you know, you can just quickly look at it, nobody's underneath it, do close the door.
Well, we can have that, I'll put that down as an, part of an option as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's interesting use of technology for that.
Councillor Chadwick wanted to come in, yeah?
Just, you know, in regards to like a 4 o'clock closing time, like the shops in town don't even close until 5:30. And actually more and more businesses actually don't have toilets available. So, you know, you can't go into B&M or anything like that. A lot of places now are saying that you can't use their toilets unless you've made a purchase inside them. So yes, I agree that some places do have them available, but a lot aren't these days. So I just think a 4 o'clock closing time is...
Yeah, all good points. Councillor Rose, last one, and then...
Yes, there was the option of having the other toilets open later, but they'll still be cleaned at 4, and that'll be the last clean. And I think if they were open to 6, they're probably not. You're not in the time period where they start being messed up by people drinking, are you? So they could be cleaned at 4 and still because that is an automatic thing, isn't it? It can be just set to shut at 6 potentially with no cost, I don't think.
Okay, I think, yeah, Henry, if you can just respond and just
Sure.
say what you think
Absolutely.
the way forward.
Within the report, there is an option there for members if they wish to trial having toilets open later, as in the cubicles. 1, 2, 4, all of them. That's up for members to decide, and even if up to 24 hours a day. So if you wish to do a trial period whilst I compile a report for next council meeting regarding the options for the change of place facility, that is an option. As I said, it's literally just me going and turning a dial to change the closing time.
Okay, Councillor Moore. Yeah.
Sorry. If we're going to have, again, it's just about equality across the board, isn't it? It's I think that we want to be careful not to have a disjointed situation where the changing places, people who need that don't have a toilet available, and people who don't require the changing places do. I don't know what Councillor Chadwick thinks, but I think if we're going to trial it, we need to trial it all together, which I'd be happy to do. But otherwise, I'd suggest that we don't trial it and keep the equality across the board.
Yeah, so all in favour of a general review of the toilet closing times, options and costs coming back in a report. All in favour? Thank you. We move on to the Town Clerk's report.
No,
Sorry, that was only one
Sorry.
1.1 of 4.
Oh yeah, my goodness me. Okay.
So the next item within the report is the table tennis at Kygos Park. So Kygos Management Group met early in the year, discussed the location of the new table. Table will be located next to the tennis courts. We've met with contractors, we've attempted to gather 3 quotes, and to ensure that the table is fully accessible, the concrete slab that will need to be installed for the table to be situated on, we need to move it into the flower bed. This is so that, but then also that area could provide more seating for spectators as well. As I've noted in the report, the sponsorship money that the council received from Casey Yarwood last year will entirely go into the purchase and installation of this new sporting facility.
Councillor Moore, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, just a note, really, as a note of thanks to a member of the public who brought this forward. I raised this table tennis table a while back on their behalf. It was Mr. Robert Purcell, who has been involved with the table tennis association locally for a really long time, and has been regularly getting in contact with me, asking about the progress of this. So it's really glad to see it on the agenda and see it being actioned. I'll get back to him, but yeah, he's been incredibly generous with his time, even offering at one point to fund it himself if needs be. So that was very, very good. So I'll get back to him and send the council's thanks for his constant supervision of the project.
Patience.
And patience. Yes.
No decisions at this stage on that one, though, is there, Henry? Not a recommendation there. The apprenticeship programme. Yeah, that sounds good as well. We have a recommendation there to proceed with the apprenticeship recruitment, as stated. Councillor Rose? No. Yeah, okay. And the request from Hope Church to erect a sign on the bit of land that we own, but they rent as a right of access. Councillor Moore.
Move we accept. So, yeah.
Move we accept the recommendations of the... Yeah.
Is there any way of, although not advertising it to be open, that we advertise it as something coming up soon? Because we've got people doing GCSEs at this time of year, and they are thinking about what they're doing in September. They're looking at sixth forms already, they're looking at college next steps, and actually putting a social media post out saying, we have an apprenticeship coming up, might just pique people's interest in terms of knowing what the next steps are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the report, the recruitment happening over the summer, but we can start. There isn't a recruitment plan as such in place at the moment. There's just to get members' views on us proceeding with it.
As there is a new post, we're going to have to bring it back to you for formal approval, because it's, we'll make sure you've got the money for it as well.
So the recommendation, is to proceed with the apprenticeship recruitment, so we can start trailing that immediately for school leavers.
Do we not get that through the apprenticeship levy, or are we not paying into the levy?
So is that no cost to council?
Is that no cost to the council?
Sorry.
Lovely. Okay, so we've dealt with the toilets, so we're just voting to adopt the recommendations to proceed with the apprenticeship recruitment and the permit request from Hope Church. Councillor Upton.
Move we adopt.
Councillor Davis.
I'm not sure about the Hope Church sign. I mean, when you look at the picture, we've got a big sign on the building. So why do they need another sign there? If they're going to have a sign there, we should be advertising little shops and things down the alleyway.
That's what it is, advertising.
Yeah, but it's predominantly... Oh, they're on the bottom of it. So is that the sign they're looking to put up? Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, misunderstood.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr.
I've got no objection to it, but excuse me, does it need planning permission? Has it? Do we have resolved whether it needs planning permission before we give consent for it? Because it's on our land, it would be our...
Yeah, absolutely. We wouldn't give consent without planning permission. And obviously, you'll have another opportunity to have a survey.
Planning permission, I've no idea, but we need to establish that before we can make a decision, I would have thought.
We can agree in principle, can't you? Subject to planning.
Do you wish to object?
If you need planning permission, you don't see people get a chance to comment, and when we see all the comments, we might take a form of view. We could appreciate it. I don't mind.
Councillor Moore.
Move we agree in principle.
Okay. All in favour of agreeing in principle? Thank you. And to the apprenticeship, we did that one, didn't we? Yeah. Okay. Now it is the Town Clerk's report, item 20.
Where to start? So it's quite a big...
Can I just face a point of order? You're very close to 9 o'clock, Chair.
Right, okay. I propose that we suspend standing orders and overrun the 9 o'clock cut-off to enable us to conclude the business on the meeting. Councillor Upton? All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, well, it's carried, but, I mean, no one can force you to stay. That's all I'll say. Where were we?
Should we proceed at pace then?
Yes.
So I'll proceed as quick as I can. There are some considerable items on here, and some requiring decisions. However, you may want to postpone a decision on the land at Orchard Street until next meeting to allow a full discussion and debate on that item.
I'll move that we make that an item on next month's agenda. Seconded, all in favour? Thank you.
So Clwyd Mansion is an update. Obviously, we've invited you to a business, to a seminar briefing on the business plan next week. So you'll get a full opportunity to have a look about what is being proposed, the key issues and the next steps on there. The reason I put it on the report is to really highlight that this is a large-scale project, which is going to need significant resource and expertise. So at some point, we're going to have to bring a full report for you to have a look at and for you to understand exactly what is involved in this project. The centre, there are some issues for decisions here. I would like to proceed with instructing a surveyor to give us, running out of steam. A surveyor to give us a reinstatement value for insurance purposes, but also to pull together a full specification and schedule of works to allow us to go out to tender stroke quotation for the repairs needed on that building. If you recall, you've budgeted £250,000 for the repairs. This will predominantly mean the roof, which is in increasingly poor condition, and issues such as windows and doors. So I'm not asking to spend that money. What I'm asking is I need to appoint a surveyor to do that. And finally, I need you this evening to give me delegated powers to sign out off the legals on this. I've been in regular dialogue with the solicitor, with Shropshire Council and with partners over recent weeks, There are still some outstanding issues with this building and still a number of concerns, such as the occupancy of Shropshire Council staff, 2P issues, and there's a difference of opinion on that, and some outstanding information from Shropshire Council, which causes our solicitor a degree of concern. That said, we've made significant progress. The key, and I think it was mentioned earlier, the key will be to have a simultaneous sort of surrender of the land and a new lease for TNS and Osnosh alongside that. You'll be having a full report next month on that lease with TNS and Osnosh, which you will need to agree to. But I hope you're getting a feel for the scale of the decisions that you're making here and the implications, because I'm acting on your behalf on this matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need a vote
yeah.
on those. And then finally, just in terms of UK SPF, just giving you some information on what we're doing. Dealing with external funded projects and keeping you informed and involved is extremely difficult because we're working at timescales that we're struggling to keep up with. There will be, and I'll admit to this, decisions I will make that probably sometimes should be best done by you. However, can't always do that. And so far we've dealt with, a good amount of trust between us. But there will be occasions where I'll do something and I'll, drop you in it. So I'm getting my excuses out to start with. So yeah, if you just focus on those decisions, please.
Okay, so for the centre, pulling together specification schedule for works, to prepare tender documents to allow the council to seek costs for the work, undertake a reinstatement valuation for insurance purposes, and subject to advice being received, council are asked to confirm their acceptance of the surrender of the freehold for the building and delegate responsibility to the clerk to make the necessary legal arrangements. I'll move. Oh, Councillor Rose? Yeah, second. Councillor Moore? All in favour? Lovely. No one was against. No abstentions. Llywydd Mansion, we're voting to recognise the significance of the project and delegate authority to the clerk to complete and submit an expression of interest to the Heritage Lottery Fund, which is a big piece of work in itself, but obviously we can't really proceed with plans without it. I'll propose. Seconded. Lovely. All in favour? Thank you. And the Market Hall improvements, note the report, etc. All in favour of that one? Thank you. Land at Orchard Street is deferred. Okay, the Community Growing Project application form. I think that's next. Yeah, Councillor Upton.
This stretch of land is a triangular piece with one third facing out onto Lloyd Street, 1/3 facing out onto the car park, and 1/3 facing out onto the residence of Liverpool Road. Would both streets have right to access it, or is it just Lloyd Street residents?
Thank you. Councillor Rose.
They're not proposing it that it's just residents anyway. The residents, when they've been asked, although they're keen that it's largely residents, it will be, the scheme might involve other people. It's actually at the moment the Environment Centre are putting the proposal in. Oswestry and Bloom are going to support it, so it will, the idea is to put more of these. It's taken ages just getting this one together, but there are other areas to sort of gradually work on. So all they're asking really is us to support the application, because Shropshire Council haven't agreed to it yet. It's just support the application and say that we'll keep an eye on it, basically, if it did go through, that we'd kind of feedback.
Do you know what we're sort of signing ourselves up to by agreeing? I'm not well up on the rules of this.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
You're agreeing just to support the application to go forward and to ongoing monitoring of that. You have it's still Shropshire Council land. There's a licence between. But until you support it in principle, it can't go any further. I'd have to say, after submitting it 4 weeks ago, for initial comment, I haven't had anything back. So I don't think this is on top of the list of priorities.
Okay, we're asked to end up. Sorry, Councillor Maguire.
I just said I think we should support it. If it's a pilot scheme for something else later on in the future elsewhere in Oswestry, then it could be something that's useful. And if we're involved in it somehow, just by this, keep us up to date and informed, then it's something we will understand going forward when it comes to any further projects elsewhere in Oswestry.
Thank you. Okay, no other comments. So all in favour of endorsing that application? Thank you. That is unanimous. Okay, I move that by the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, and in accordance, do I have to read all this out? In accordance with the provisions of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, public and press be excluded for the remainder of the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by the Act. Thank you. All in favour? Thank you very much.